Alright, so in this video we're going to be walking through my most recent book launch that I launched back at the end of August, and as of today has made over $17,000. So of course there is some ad cost in that, but that's what we're going to be going through this video. I'm going to break down each month how much royalties I made, how much I spent in ads, as well as then go over exactly what I did to achieve this and how you can have similar results. So let's waste no time and get right into the video. So if you do want me to walk you through my entire high content publishing process, check the first link in the description and join the free course. It's almost 2,000 people already taking it, so definitely hop in and join the community. So first things first, there's a couple of things I want to go over before we dive into the results, and that is that this was a high content book. It is also in a topic that spikes between December and February, mainly December and January. And I also don't have a brand, so I don't have any other books in this topic or an email list or any audience to launch it to. I went in completely dry, found a new topic from scratch, and created and published a book. And the last thing is I'm sure you're curious as to what the book was, but that's not important. And the reason why that's not important is because this is a very generic topic. You've definitely heard of it before, as well as you probably even have it on your spreadsheet when you do your keyword research. It's not some secret topic I found hidden. It's a very common topic that does have high demand. So it is a bit saturated and I'm sure scares a bit of people away. However, I wanted to prove that as long as the topic has high demand and you know how to publish and create a book, there's more than enough sales to go around. So let's dive into the results and then dive into how I actually did it. So starting with month number 1, so we launched this book at the end of August, I believe it was around the 22nd, and we made a total of $100 in this month. So it was only live for maybe a week, made $100. In terms of our ad cost, we spent about $330. So we're in the hole about $230 at this point. We also had 56 reviews at this point, so I will go over my launch process later in the video. However, basically what I did was I published the book, I made sure the book was discounted, I then ran a free promo, and a few months prior, I was collecting my currency for different review sites. So things like Book Bounty, Book Blaze, Pubby. So when you do prepare in advance and build up that currency, you can then run a free promo to your book when it is live and get as many reviews as you can. So in this case, as you can see, I have about 56 reviews at this point. So this was the first week. I got 56 reviews in the first week from building up that review site currency and then redeeming everything I could on the free promo. So going into the month of September, basically the first month of actually launching the book, we did about $700 in royalties. So definitely better in terms of the ad spend. We did around $1,200. So for September, we're in the hole almost $500. So at this point, I'm not really thinking about royalties. I'm thinking about driving traffic to my book, getting as many sales as I can because I want to take my book from where it's ranking at this point, probably around page 6 to 8, and get it to ranking on page 1. Because when I did do my keyword research, I did prove that there is high demand for the topic, and if I do rank at the top of page 1, there's more than enough traffic to go around. So at this point, I'm not worried about profit, I'm just worried about getting my book where it needs to be. So as you can see, I did get a few more reviews as well, so we're sitting at around 76 at the end of the month. Now let's move on to October, which is when we actually started to make some money. So at this point, I was ranking a lot better. I believe I was already on page 1, so it took me about a month to get there, as well as the traffic started to pick up for that Q4 rush. So for the month of October, we did around $2,200, and for our ad spend, we did about $1,400. So in terms of our profit for October, we made just under $800. So at this point, it's already a win. To make $800 from one book is super good, but I knew that if I did rank even better come December, January, I know that the numbers could do pretty good because I did the proper keyword research. At this point as well, we were still sitting at around 77 reviews. So for the month of November, our sales started to pick up even more, and we did around $3,000. So in terms of our ad cost, we spent about $1,770, leaving us with around $1,200 of profit. So once again, we're slowly growing, but we're still in the green at the end of the month, and to make over $1,000 from one book is super good. We did a bit more of a review push, and we're sitting around 97 at this point. So December is when the book started to pick up a bit more, and we did a total of $4,500 this month. So really good for one book. In terms of our ad cost, we spent around $1,758, leaving us with a profit of around $2,700. So this is once again super good for 1 month with one book. We're in the clear, we're in the green, we're making lots of sales, we're making lots of profit most importantly. So we did have our 90-day free promo come up again. So we ran another free promo, did a bit more of a review push. At this point, we're sitting around 119 reviews. So another metric that I think is important to note is the ACoS of my ads. So the ACoS of my ads for the month of December was 60%. And the reason I'm telling you this is because this is not a good ACoS by any means. However, because I was ranking high on a very good keyword with high demand, I was getting tons of organic sales. And so the point I'm making is that if you're just relying on your Amazon ads to make money, every sale is coming from your Amazon ads, It's very hard to be profitable. You have to have your ACOS under 30%, which is very hard to get to. Unless you have a book that has 500 plus reviews, it normally will be over 30%, but that's okay because if you are making organic sales, as you can see, I still made $2,700 from this one book this month, even with a 60% ACOS. So let's dive into the biggest month for the book, which is January. So as you can see, in January alone, this book made over $7,000. So really good month from one book, super happy with this. It had a few high days of over $500, even getting over $600 at one point for one day. So when it comes to our ad spend, we spent around $2,800 this month for this book, leaving us with a profit of just under $4,500. So once again, super good month to make $4,500 from one book in 1 month profit. And of course, let's say you add 5 more books like this to the mix, that's when you really start to pump some big numbers with Amazon KDP. So at this point, we did do a bit more of a review push and got ourselves to 141 by the end of the month. But most importantly, the ACOS of my ads for January were around 48%. So of course, a little bit better than December, not horrible, but basically my ads were breaking even. The reason why the numbers were so good was because at this point, I was ranking on either the first row of the search term or the second row and getting tons of organic sales because I picked a keyword that has very high search volume. But most importantly, a lot of the books that were there are already selling. They were proving that people were searching the topic and buying the books that are there. With my book now ranking at the top with over 100 reviews, of course, I did do a desirable title and cover, which we will get into. The organic sales just flooded in. And so this is basically my main strategy with Amazon KDP is I go after high demand topics, I make good books, and I prioritize the book launch to get them ranking as high as I can on the search results. And now even if my ads aren't perfect, which they're usually not, I'm still in the green because I'm getting so many organic sales. So in total, this book has made over $18,000. So of course this includes February. So just for the months of August to January, we did just under $18,000. We had an ad spend of around $9,200. And our total profit for this book was just over $8,000. So in my opinion, this is a huge win. And of course the book is still selling right now. Now let's get into what I actually did to achieve this and why it's not as unrealistic as you think. So let's get into what my strategy actually was for this. So the first thing was I prioritized demand. I simply found a high demand topic, something that was very clear that the books were selling that were there and there was high search volume. Just to get an idea of what the keyword looked like on my keyword research spreadsheet, basically it had a very good search volume of around 30,000. This is the standard search volume this keyword has in peak months. Of course, it's a little lower on off season. However, it's still good. In terms of winning books, it had about 6 books that had low reviews that were selling well. But if you added in the books that had maybe 200, 300, 400 reviews, it's actually more like 10. So a lot of the books that were there were selling. But the important thing is there was no real authority figure. So there weren't really any books that had over 1,000 reviews. I believe there's only 1 or 2 that had over 500. And so majority of the books were within that 100 to 400 review range, which I know I can compete with. So in terms of dead books, there were quite a bit of dead books on the first page. However, I personally don't look at these as competition. We will get into why in a second. But basically, a lot of these books had bad covers, bad titles, and low reviews. So the search results are around 2,000, so it wasn't super saturated, and there were only around 5 pages of relevant books. So when I published my book, it published around page 5, and I only had to take it a few pages to get it ranking on page 1. So another note with this is I wasn't worried about saturation, because like I said, we will get into this in more detail, but a majority of the books had bad covers, bad titles, low reviews. So even though there was a lot of them, I wasn't worried about it because I knew I would make a book that is more desirable, it looks better, it has more reviews, and I know how to launch my book properly. So I'm going to blow past a lot of that saturation anyway. But the most important thing with prioritizing demand is I simply proved that if I did rank in the first 2 rows of the keyword, my book would sell. And so this basically is determined by the search volume, the winning books, are there books actually selling with low reviews, and of course the authority figures. If there are low authority figures, books with over 500 reviews, there's lots of books under 500 reviews that are selling well, and there's good search volume, it's clearly telling you that people are searching and buying the books that are there. So if I just simply replicate this, if I create a desirable book with around 100 reviews, I rank at the top of page 1, there's simply no reason why my book wouldn't sell. So the second thing is I of course made a desirable book. So I had a very straightforward title. It's very clear who the book was for. I wasn't trying to be overly clever or complex. I just was a very straightforward title that targeted exactly what the person was looking for. It was also easy to read, so I made sure my font was very large and any important parts on the title were highlighted so that people could easily read my book and even read it better than the competitors. if someone's searching on Amazon, they have a ton of books to choose from. Whichever one stands out to them and they can read the easiest is most likely the one they're going to click on. I also, of course, stood out, so I made sure I used very bright colors to stand out from the competitors, and so their eyes were drawn to my book. I actually did do a cover change in the middle of this launch process, so I believe around November, I did notice that my book cover could be a bit more punchy and a bit louder, so I did create a new cover, and my click-through rate for my ads went way up once I did this. So don't be afraid to make some changes to your book when you're launching it, because I do believe that this cover change made all the difference with my book ranking high and making lots of sales. I also had a professional design, so I made sure I created a design that looked like the best-selling books in the topic. However, I did do a twist to it in terms of how it was designed, how it was laid out, and of course the main image on the front of the cover just to showcase what the book is about. And the third thing I did to ensure that I had success with this book was that I did a proper launch. Most importantly, a patient launch. So as you can see, I didn't make any profit in the first 2 months my book was live, but I was okay with that because my whole goal was to rank on page 1. So I had a clear vision of where I wanted to go. I knew, because I did the proper keyword research, that if I did rank high on page 1 in row 1 or 2, there's no reason why my book wouldn't sell. Once again, I also proved that I could do this. And when you prove that you can make sales when you're ranking on page 1, then you have a clear vision and you know what your book launch is going to look like. If we're just publishing in a topic and trying to launch it, if we're not launching it to a specific place, we're not really doing anything. And of course, the first 30 to 90 days, I was not thinking about profit because like I said, I had an end goal in mind. So all I cared about was getting to that end goal. And if that means I had to be unprofitable for a few months, I'm okay with that. So what was my actual book launch sequence? So of course, I will leave my actual book launch video linked below. It's going to go into this in a lot more depth. But basically all I do is I simply publish my book, I discount it, I put the paperback at around $9.99 and the ebook at 99 cents. From there, I do my free book promo, and this is the main time that I'm going to be getting reviews on my book. So of course, I saved up the currency from my review sites prior to launching the book. And then once my book went live, it had the free promo on it. I got as many reviews as I could. So from there, once my book is desirable, it has reviews on it, it's ready to go, I simply drive traffic to it. This is going to be mainly done through Amazon ads. And so because my book was discounted and I was in a topic that had high demand, your Amazon ads start to sell and make sales very quickly. And even if they are unprofitable, that's fine because the goal of them is to tell Amazon that people want to buy our book. And in return, Amazon will rank us better. And from here, I just continue to gather reviews slowly on my book as well. And then of course, the end result is I start to rank higher. I have a clear vision of where I want to go, which is the top of page 1 for my main search term. And I know the demand is good. And because I did create a good book, it started to sell and started to rank better. And of course, because I did make a book for a specific search term, my book also ranked well for any other search term that was related to that. So this is why you only want to make a book for one search term with one audience, because it's targeted to that audience. They're more likely to buy it, as well as you're also going to rank anywhere else that's relevant, because ranking on Amazon isn't hard. What's hard is actually ranking in high demand keywords that are relevant to your book. And so this is what you want your launch to look like. Day 1, you're going to be ranking on whatever page you end up on, most likely page 6 or 7. And then from there, as you get sales throughout the month, you're going to slowly rank better. And when we do have that end goal in mind, the top ranking of page 1, when we get there, we're going to achieve the thing we want to achieve, which is make sales. Because if we can prove that the keyword is doing well, all these books that are ranking here are selling well, there's no reason why our book won't sell either. And of course, when you get to this spot and you stay selling, Amazon's going to almost lock your book in. This is the reason why I lowered my book price as well, because it gave me another boost in sales that really solidified me in the ranking. So the most important thing is you want to prove that there are customers, have some good search volume, and prove that they're buying the books that are there. Because search volume alone isn't going to give you the answer. You have to pair a good search volume with lots of winning books. There are books that are ranking under the main search term that are selling well. And if you do pair these two numbers together, it's going to be very clear that people are wanting to buy the books that are there, and there's clearly demand for them. Because if you don't have a high demand topic, or you don't create a good book, or you don't have an end goal in mind for where you want your book to go, it's going to be very hard to actually have success with Amazon KDP. You're kind of just going to be flailing your arms and running in circles. So something to note is that high content isn't as competitive as you think. Most high content books are published in low demand topics. They never exceed 50 reviews. The publishers of them don't actually know what a book launch is. They simply publish their book to Amazon and try to get some sales for it. They have a subpar cover and title, something that's very easy to be more desirable than. And most importantly, most publishers on Amazon KDP give up after just a couple books. So a lot of the books you do see on Amazon are books from people who gave up and they're not running ads to them, they're not putting any attention into them, and they're basically not even our competition. And so our only actual competition is authority figures, books that have over 500 reviews, so they're hard to compete with, and basically the top 2 rows of search results. Because the top 2 rows of the search results in our keywords had to get there by making sales. So they're either books from people who know what they're doing or books that are selling well. So it's important not to be afraid of saturation. So basically, if there's not many authority figures, most of the books on the topic have anywhere from 50 to 300 reviews, and the top 2 rows are selling super well, then we're probably in the clear because we've proven that there's no authority figures that can keep us from selling. And we've proven that people are actually wanting to buy the books that are there because the top 2 rows are selling very well. So find a book topic with demand, make a desirable book, get reviews on it, and launch it to the top. If you learn this process, this is how you're going to succeed with Amazon KDP. So if you do want me to walk you through my entire high content publishing process, definitely join almost 2,000 people in my completely free course. I'll link below. So what I would do differently with this book is I basically would want to spend more time optimizing ads. I do know that if I spent the time, I could have got that ACoS lower, maybe had a bit better results with them. I also wish I pushed for more reviews. So of course, it is difficult to collect currency with these review sites. It takes time, but I do wish I pushed a bit more and got my book to 200 plus. I'm still in the process of doing that now, so of course it's not too late, but this would have helped my ad performance as well. So the lesson here is Amazon KDP is a realistic business. No, it's not a get-rich-quick scheme, but if you do, learn what makes a good topic, learn what makes a good book, learn what makes a good book launch, and invest some time and money and take it one book at a time, success is very possible and more attainable than you think. Most people just do it wrong. So simply don't quit and you will figure it out, I promise. So if you do want to learn more about anything we talked about, keyword research, getting reviews, the complete process in general, definitely subscribe and check out my other videos because I do cover all these things in detail. That's it for this video. We'll see you in the next one.